Hey everyone! Today we're diving into something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but I promise you, it's happening right now in labs around the world. We're talking about smart gels and how they might just solve one of the biggest nightmares in medicine.
I mean, just think about that for a second. It's a worst-case scenario, right? You have a major injury, a shattered bone, and then it gets a nasty infection on top of it. So how do you fight something that's literally inside your bone? It's a problem that has been a huge headache for doctors forever, but some really incredible new ideas are starting to change the game.
So, first things first, let's break down why this is so incredibly hard to fix. Doctors call these infected bone defects, or IBDs for short. And trust me, it's way more complicated than just taking a course of antibiotics. It's a real battle on multiple fronts.
You've got this perfect storm of problems. For one, the injury itself wrecks the blood vessels, so there's hardly any blood supply getting to the area. That means those antibiotics you take as a pill, they can't even get to the fight. At the same time, the bacteria build this slimy, protective fortress around themselves called a biofilm. And as if that's not enough, we're all dealing with the growing problem of antibiotic resistance. You can see why we're in desperate need of a totally new game plan.
Right now, the best option we have is often something called an autograft. Basically, surgeons have to take a piece of bone from somewhere else in your body, like your hip, and move it to the broken spot. And yeah, it can work, but think about it. That's a whole second major surgery. We're talking more pain, more blood loss, and a much tougher recovery. It is far from an ideal solution.
Okay, so this is where things get really cool. This is where the story pivots. Scientists are working on this revolutionary material called a hybrid hydrogel. Now, don't just think of it as some kind of putty to fill the gap. No, this is a smart scaffold. It's an active player in the healing process, designed to do two huge jobs at once: kill the infection and rebuild the bone. It's a total strategic shift.
So you're probably wondering, what on earth is a hydrogel? Well, at its heart, it's basically a network of polymers that absolutely loves water. Imagine a really high-tech jello. It forms this 3D, squishy structure that's a lot like the natural environment our own cells live in.
And that structure, that microscopic sponge-like network, that's the secret sauce. See, it's not just an empty frame. It's a delivery truck. We can load it up with everything we need for the mission: medicine to kill bacteria, growth factors to encourage new bone, even living cells. And it delivers that payload exactly where it needs to go. Now, when you're dealing with an infected bone, job number one is simple. You have to win the war against the bacteria. And the really cool part is the arsenal of weapons scientists have figured out how to pack inside these hydrogels. These bacteria-fighting tools pretty much fall into three main buckets. You've got inorganic stuff like metals, you've got organic compounds, and you've got natural agents. The great thing about having all these options is that you can cook up a specific recipe, a tailored treatment for whatever kind of nasty infection you're up against.
All right, let's kick things off with the inorganic crew, and specifically metal ions. I mean, this isn't totally new. People have known for ages that silver, for example, can kill germs. But now we're taking that ancient wisdom and putting it on a whole new level, harnessing the power of tiny ions of silver, copper, and zinc as superpowered bacteria killers.
And here's why they're so effective. You see, a normal antibiotic often has just one specific way it attacks a bacteria. But these metal ions, they're like a special forces team hitting multiple targets at once. They blast holes in the bacteria's cell wall, scramble its DNA, and shut down its internal machinery. It's a full-on assault, which makes it way harder for the bacteria to figure out a defense and develop resistance.
But wait, it gets even crazier. We're talking next-level futuristic stuff now. There's another class of these inorganic agents that's, well, it's dormant. It just sits there until you give it the command, with a beam of light.
Okay, check this out. The hydrogel carries this special material, a photosensitizer, right to the infection. Then, a doctor can shine a special kind of light, near-infrared light, on the spot. It's totally safe, passes right through your skin. But when that light hits the photosensitizer, it's like flipping a switch. The material either creates a tiny focused hotspot that literally cooks the bacteria, that's photothermal therapy, or PTT, or it creates these little oxygen grenades that rip the bacteria to shreds, and that's photodynamic therapy, or PDT. How cool is that?
And here's the game changer. This is a physical attack, not a chemical one. A bacterium can't evolve a resistance to being flash-fried. It's just not possible. And that's what makes these light-powered therapies such a massive deal in our battle against superbugs that are resistant to everything else.
All right, so the bad guys are gone. We've zapped the infection, but we're still left with a pretty big problem: a hole in the bone. Taking out the trash was just the first half of the mission. Now it's time to rebuild. And this is where the hydrogel's second superpower comes into play. It acts as a scaffold for new growth. And this is every bit as important as killing the bacteria. It provides the blueprints, the physical framework that your body's own bone-building cells need. They can grab onto it and use it as a guide to fill in the gap. It's a process called osteoconduction. The gel is literally conducting the orchestra of new bone formation.
And here's a perfect example of how this all comes together. So some of these hydrogels are loaded with a material that slowly releases zinc ions. Now we already know zinc is a great bacteria killer. But here's the kicker. It turns out zinc also acts like a foreman on a construction site, shouting at the bone-building cells, the osteoblasts, to get to work. So it's doing both jobs at once, killing germs and promoting healing. It's a 1-2 punch.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly promising, right? But what's the holdup? What's it going to take to get these smart gels out of the lab and into actual hospitals? Let's talk about the hurdles that scientists are still working to clear.
Well, a big part of the challenge is that there's no single silver bullet. Yet, every one of these amazing antibacterial agents has its own pros and cons. Those metal ions, super powerful, but you have to be careful they don't become toxic. The light-based therapies, genius, but getting that light to penetrate deep into the body can be tricky. And that's why the real future, what everyone's working towards, is probably combining these methods.
Yeah, there are still some major details to iron out. Like, you need the gel to do its thing and then just safely dissolve and disappear. You have to get the timing of the drug release just right, so it works over weeks, not just for a day. And then, of course, there's the biggest step of all, taking all the fantastic results we're seeing in the lab and in animals and proving it's safe and effective for people in clinical trials.
So, the road ahead is pretty clear. The goal is to create these truly all-in-one multifunctional gels. Just imagine it, a single injection of a hydrogel that hits the bacteria with that instant light-activated heat blast and provides a long-term antibacterial shield with silver ions, all while it's releasing growth signals telling your body to hurry up and heal. That's the holy grail right there.
And all of this leaves us with a really powerful thought. We're talking about a problem that has been an absolute nightmare in medicine forever. And now we have a technology on the horizon that can sterilize a wound and rebuild it from the inside out, all at the same time. It's a totally different way of thinking. So you have to wonder, could these smart gels actually make chronic bone infections a thing of the past?
Thanks for diving into this with us today. All the science we covered is based on a big review paper from 2022 published in the journal Gels. We'll see you for the next one.